Hey, Will.
Sorry about that, guys. I do not know. Zoom had me trapped in purgatory. Like, I'm serious. It was like, excuse me, I'd like to get into the webinar. Excuse me. And it kept putting me in the wrong room. And like, then it said invalid meeting ID. Technology, guys, technology.
Oh, man. Well, I was just getting everybody basically acclimated to house rules. Told everybody to use the Q&A for Q&A and the chat just to kind of sound off, have some fun. I had everybody dropping the best thing they've watched on any streaming service in the last week. So if you're looking for some new show recommendations, we've got a ton in here. But
Well, then I'm gonna have to go check out the show recommendations to hear what the good stuff was that's going on.
everything from Lupin to Loki to Yellowstone to even the Tomorrow War. So we've got some good recommendations in there. But Will, this is really your show. So I was blown away by everything you shared last time. I told everybody here this was the webinar so popular we couldn't resist doing it twice. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you now, and I'll just be kind of in the background, off camera and off mic. So if you need me, just holler.
Beautiful. All right. Well, I am going to hit the share screen button here. Again, I am super excited to be here for all of you. This is probably one of my most passionate topics ever. I cannot get enough of automating things and saving time. My wife calls it extreme laziness. I call it extreme efficiency. We get along. It's exciting. So we're gonna talk about Design Pickle specifically and what some of this automation means and where it all goes in the long run. So my name is Will Christensen. I am the CEO and co-founder of Data Automation. And yes, we did broker that domain name. We went out, looked, saw it was available, did not pay $10 for it. But the brand has gone a long way for us and it's been exciting stuff. So who are we? We're an automation and integration consultancy. And so that's a fancy way of saying we take manual processes and we automate them so that you no longer have to do them manually. We are an approved development partner of multiple SaaS companies. So Zapier, for example, if you were to go and ask them a question about what was going on, or you were to go ask Design Pickle and say, hey, how do I use the API? We are often the people that they introduce you to so that all of that integration work can happen and we can kind of connect those dots. Seller Labs is an Amazon automation company that we're a sister company to. And we're part of the Roundsphere conglomerate, which is a tech incubator that basically focuses on improving people's lives through technology and software. So pretty excited to be here, pretty excited to show you guys a little bit more about this. So here's our agenda. We're going to talk about what to automate and what not to automate. And I will tell you, there is a laundry list of things that you should not be automating, but there's a laundry list of things that you should be automating that you're not currently looking at. And we're excited to get in and show you that and show you what that looks like. So we're going to talk about how to set up some automation. We're going to talk about what Zapier is. It's a popular automation tool, and we're going to get into more of that. We're going to show you how it works. We're going to show you how to build your own Zap, and we're actually going to dig in and do some automations around Design Pickle and Asana and some other things like that. So stick around for the end. That's when we're going to get our hands dirty and really, like, I'm actually going to open up my screen, open up Zapier, show you guys some of what's going on inside here. Okay. So what to automate and what not to automate. First, let's talk about how much time you really can save through automation. How long is that task taking you? Is it taking you an hour a day? Okay, well, how much are you making, or how much does the person make who is currently doing that work? What's it worth to you? Is it 22 business days in a month that you're currently doing that? You can run the numbers there and you're getting about $5,000 a year that you're saving by taking that 1 hour task and eliminating it from the realm of what's out there. Well, that's great, but it's not the only thing you're saving. A lot of people, when they get into this, they forget about the time savings that come through the lack of error that happens in automation. Like after you get an automation set up and it's working properly, you save a lot of time just by someone not going and doing it in a specific way that was wrong to begin with. I personally I'm not the kind of person to go just take naps when I automate something. I'm not just going to go sit around. I'm going to go do something new at that time. So, what are you going to do with that mental energy? If you combine all of that together, the $5,000 a year plus all of that, you start to get a real budget for what you can actually automate. Okay, let's talk about my litmus test. This is how I decide when I should automate and when I should not automate something. I call it 15-1-1 or 15-1-1-5. And we're going to get into what the 5 means here in a second. So if you're following along, grab a sticky note, grab a note paper somewhere, and you're going to make a list. But at the top of the list, you're going to write 15-1-1-5. So the 15 is 15 minutes a day. The next one is an hour, so 1 hour a week or 1 hour a month. If the task you are taking is doing less than that, it's not ready for automation. And the reason I say that is because this is how you avoid automation rabbit holes. And automation rabbit holes, I mean, it is amazing just how deep you can go when it goes with automation rabbit holes. You go all the way to the bottom of this rabbit hole and you're like, oh, awesome. I automated that thing. It took me 6 hours to figure out all of that. And I saved myself 1 minute a day. 6 hours, 1 minute. It's going to take a long time to get on that ROI. So that's what 15-1-1-5 does. The second question you ask is, how difficult is the task that I'm taking on here? If the task takes you more than 15 minutes a day, 3 or 4 times, more than an hour per week, 3 or 4 times, more than an hour a month, 3 or 4 times to teach someone, it's probably not the kind of thing that you want to go in and work on in that way, if that makes sense. So super, super important that as you're looking at what you're doing and where you're going with everything, that you focus on things that are easily teachable. That's another good way to find automation is, how long do I think it would take me to teach an intern with a basic level of understanding of Excel and maybe email to do this task? Okay. So let's talk about copying and pasting. Are you currently taking a bunch of data and copying and pasting that data into your platform? Are you copying and pasting data out of ClickUp and vice versa? These projects, the design projects that are coming up, they originate somewhere. Sometimes it's a Slack conversation. Sometimes it's a Trello card. Sometimes it's an Asana card. You are copying and pasting information from one place to another. Maybe it's meeting notes. Look for places where you're copying and pasting. When do notifications need to be automatic? So think about it. You want a notification when a specific piece of design is done, when the task is completed or it's ready for review. Those are the sorts of notifications you can get up. But it's not just about Design Pickle, it's about all of our automation. So what are times when information being surfaced automatically could really create some benefit for you? Then where do we reduce human error? Are there situations where an item takes so much detail-oriented effort that it makes sense to pay a programmer to go in line by line and make it so all of that detail goes in there? Because the beautiful thing about a computer is it'll do exactly what you tell it to, nothing more, nothing less, and it never gets tired. So it can go deep that way. Okay, so let's talk about what not to automate. Some customer interactions, any interactions with a customer where there's a lot of emotion involved, I recommend staying away from those as opportunities for automation, just because that can create a real issue for you in the long term if you're not careful. Another place that I often see situations where there's an issue is when you are digging into accounting information. So automatically sending invoices, retrieving billing information. You can retrieve the billing information, but you need to have a set of human eyes in there in between before it actually goes through. Okay. All right, let's get into some more nitty gritty. We're going to talk about how to set up an automation and some pros and cons around some of the most effective tools that are out there and some of what that means. Okay, so when you're beginning the automation process, and I want you to know, oh, I'll give you a sneak peek into the next slide there. I want you to know that it is like ridiculously important that you think about the information that you're giving to people when they ask for it. And what I mean by that is you're defining exactly how to describe an automation. So where's the data now? Where does it need to go? What needs to happen to the data in between? What triggers the process to start? And how often does your team execute this process? These 5 questions are questions that I have worked on with my team over the past 6 years as we've automated hundreds and hundreds of manual processes. Okay. So we got in and we figured out what is the nitty gritty? What are the blood and guts of automation? If you answer these questions, you will see anywhere from a 20 to 50% reduction in the overall cost that a freelancer charges you if you're doing it through a freelancer, because you've eliminated a lot of the unknown. A lot of times we like to do projects where we're getting in with people and things are um, they're ambiguous. The more ambiguous they are, the more that those people are going to want to charge you for those processes. So let's talk about it after you've outlined, where's the data now, where does it need to go, and you get all of that. Well, now you've got to decide when it's time to automate. And you go in and you start to do some Google searches. So one of the things that I would highly recommend is going into Google and trying to figure out where trying to go. So let's say that you were trying to take a Trello card and you wanted that Trello card to go into Design Pickle. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to literally type in Trello card to Design Pickle, or I'm going to go Design Pickle to Trello card, right? And I'm going to kind of mash and mush on that. You're going to find that that keyword, just that simple word "to," and the names of the two pieces of software that you're trying to integrate will actually make a massive difference when it comes to finding solutions. If that comes up blank, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go look at the pages I'm going to go to Design Pickle. I'm going to go to Trello. I'm going to go to Google Contacts. I'm going to see if there's any integration pages that describe what's going on. Then I'm going to send an email to someone at designpickle@dataautomation.com or open a support ticket. And we at the Data Automation team will try to help you find an integration that already exists, or the support ticket person from Design Pickle or Trello is going to be able to help you try to look at that as well. The next thing I'm going to do, and you'll be surprised how often you find integrations that are not well known and are only out there for your networks. So ask your mastermind, ask other peers who are in business to look at that. And last but not least, I recommend that you go to Zapier, Integromat, many of these other iPaaS systems to see if they're connected. And many of you are like, well, wait a minute, I thought this was going to be all about Zapier. Why wouldn't you go there first? I often will look for a native integration before I go to Zapier because there are times where I lose some of the context and I don't get as far as I want to. So it's very important that you go in and you pick apart exactly what it is you need. And then when you find Zapier, it'll solve a lot of those problems and kind of get you where you want to go. So really, really powerful in terms of what's there. And I'm going to show you actually how to search on Zapier here in a minute. So we have the post on FreeUp or post on Fiverr or Upwork. You're going to take those questions from that last slide, and you can see, where's the data now? Where does it all go? You fill those questions out, and then you take that and you go to one of these freelance platforms, and you'll find success there. So that's my proven method. I should probably flowchart this out one day. This is how I choose to automate things for my own business and for my clients' businesses as we're digging in. Okay, let's talk automation tools. This slide is probably where I'd be willing to bet that of the people who are watching this right now live and the people who watch it in the future, this slide is probably worth upwards of 5 to 10 grand for every single person watching this call. And the reason I make a claim like that is because each one of these tools gives us something different. So real-time board, for example, here, if you Google that, you'll see that they actually recently changed their name to Miro, M-I-R-O. They are a tool that you can use to go around and diagram and mock up all sorts of other things. Really, really powerful tool. We use it all the time. This Push by Zapier is a Chrome extension by Zapier that allows us to automatically take data from any website and push it into any system. Really, really cool. I'm going to show you that live at the end of the call today and show you why that's amazing. Airtable is Google Sheets, but it's relational databases. So if you're looking to track projects like design projects, Airtable is a fantastic place to track those because you can, instead of just a Google Sheet where you can't really attach a file to a row in a Google Sheet, you can attach a file to something in Airtable. Pixabay is a fantastic free image resource where you can use these images in any version you want. Unsplash is another one that I really like. And obviously, Design Pickle has access to a lot of that. But if you want to, like, oh, I want you to find pictures that go on my business card or on my flyer like this, fantastic place to go. And you can tell them, I got this from Pixabay or Unsplash, so you can just use it. The Great Suspender, there's actually one that they've renamed it recently called the Marvelous Suspender. I've got to update my slides here. But the Marvelous Suspender allows you to have like 50 Chrome tabs open without eating up all of your RAM. Really powerful tool. Notion is another one that I love. Notion and Airtable are actually very similar. They both are tools where you're going to kind of put in wikis. Airtable is more of a table. Notion actually allows you to be a little more flexible, and you can put a lot of data in there and even publish your Notion pages if you needed to create a Notion wiki page. Another great place that you could manage your projects that are going on inside Design Pickle. So I'm just going to kind of blaze through a few more of these. Dexy.io allows you to scrape pages without knowing any code. Loom and Screencastify. This, if you are not currently using Loom or Screencastify or some other video recording software, this is going to save you tons and tons and tons of time. Loom allows you to go in and basically record your screen, just like we're recording my screen right now, and you can talk to people about what you're recording. So if you're trying to give feedback on a design, I highly recommend using Loom or Screencastify, and you verbally give the designer at Design Pickle some information about that. Mixmax helps with your emails. It's a tool that goes in your inbox. Hunter.io and Snovio allow you to get email addresses for anybody that's out there. IFTT is another thing like Zapier. Zapier, we're going to get into way deeper here in a second. Calendly, Clara, Meetingbird, those are all tools that we use to automate our calendars. Integromat is similar to Zapier, not exactly the same. Selenium HQ, that's another way to automate browser stuff that you're working on. Pulse is a tool that I use to get all of my text messages on my computer, similar to you would with iMessage. If you're not using an iPhone, that's a fantastic one. And then obviously you got G Suite. So we spent a fair amount of time on this slide and I gave you a brief overview. The reason I went through all of these things is because these are the top tools that I use on a daily basis to automate my workflows across everything. And I felt like it was important that you guys see how those can help with your workflows with Design Pickle and across the board. I'm going to pause for just a second here and I'm going to open up the questions. Does anybody have any questions about any of these pieces of software? And specifically, I'd like the questions to be around Design Pickle. And you got any questions here about what I've got here on this slide? Okay. Well, we're going to keep plowing forward. Feel free to put those questions into the Q&A section and we'll jump in. Okay, what is Zapier and how does it work? Now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. Zapier is a workflow tool and it breaks things up into what are called triggers, actions, and searches. And there's even a filter step thing that we're going to talk about here in a second. It's got 2,000 plus integrations and it is currently adding a new integration every single day. Really powerful. Okay, so workflow and automation tool, here are triggers. So a trigger is something where we're able to pull information out of Design Pickle and bring all of those around. We're gonna actually share our screens live and show you what this looks. But you can see we got completed request, file delivered. There's a new request or a reply to a request. All three of those are triggers, and you can take that data out of Design Pickle and put it anywhere you want. Okay, searches are another piece of Zapier. This is where we go and we look something up inside Zapier and then push that data elsewhere. So like, let's say that you were updating a contact in one system and you wanted to go make sure you update the right contact in another system. That's how that would work. Those are searches. Actions are really powerful as well. Actions allow you to create things inside the system that you're going to. And we're going to get into more of that. So you can see that here's the workflow. I can get a Slack message when the request is complete. So once you have a completed request, you can actually get notified on your phone. You can get notified anywhere you want that there's a completed request inside Design Pickle. So really, really powerful because you know that the feedback loop, once that feedback loop really gets going, that's where it gets exciting. All right, so triggers, actions, searches, don't forget filters. Filters are if-then statements. That's where you say, okay, I want you to create a new notification in Slack when it's finished, but I only want you to do that when the title of the request contains this client name. So you can filter that to go wherever you want to based on that criteria. Okay. So let's talk about building a Zap. And we're going to get in there. So the first step in building a Zap is you're going to choose a template, and then you go through and you select the trigger, the account, you authenticate, you define some parameters. And I'm going to do this live here in a second, but I wanted to give you a brief overview so that you can kind of see where I'm going to go before I go there. Okay. Then I choose the action app and I select an account and I authenticate there. I set up the template, test the step, and then I'm ready to turn it on. Okay. Really, really powerful. Let me get my screen going up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you what the front end of Zapier looks like. And I'm going to show you kind of how to dig around on there. So let's say that my automation use case is that I'm using Asana and I have a task that's in Asana and I want to assign that task to become a design project. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to Zapier here and you can see that they have a whole bunch of different places. I'm going to go over here to this apps page. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to search to see whether or not their Asana is available. Okay. So I look inside Asana and just from the top level, without even signing into the application, I can begin to see what's going on here. So I go down here to the bottom and you can see they've given you a bunch of other stuff like, oh, I can pair this app with other systems. Well, we want to pair this app with Design Pickle. So we're going to open up Design Pickle here, pair the two, okay? And it's going to start to give us some examples, okay? So here are some of the things that are possible. So when a completed request happens, when a completed task happens over there, so I can listen for different things and then I can build those combinations. So when there's a new subtask, I can automatically kind of push around. So in this situation, let's say that I wanted to create a request and I've got over here where, when a new tag is created. Oh, not when a new tag is created. Let's do when I tag something. So you can see that, there we go. Tag is added to a task. There, I'm on. There we go. So this gives us what's called a template. And the templates are super powerful. So notice I'm not even logged in to Zapier right now. I'm just on the front end of their website, haven't authenticated, I haven't done anything there. And they're going to build me a template that allows me to go in and do everything that I need to do. Allows me to get in there and have all of the fields populated just right, allows me to go in and do everything that I want to do when it comes to this whole piece. So when I go in here and I click try this template, I logged in on the other screen here. You're going to see that I'm now logged in. I click try this template right here. And it is going to take me right in there and pre-fill all of the data for me. So here I can sign into Asana, right? And I can connect up all of those pieces, get everything rolling there. And then I can also go in and I can sign into Design Pickle. And when I sign into Design Pickle, you're going to get that information from your settings page, and you're going to copy and paste that in there. And that's going to allow you to get everything that you need to show what's going on in here. Now, once you have all of that connected, you can really start hitting the flywheel in terms of pushing. So you can push that tagged task into Design Pickle and get out the request. Well, that's all fine and great, but what if I wanted to go back and let's say that I wanted to actually go in and I wanted to listen from the other direction. And let's say that I wanted to say when something gets finished inside Design Pickle, I want to go the other way. So if I go over here and I go Design Pickle, when I get a completed request, now I can begin to go and put that other over there. Let's say I wanted to go find that same task that I had before. If I use the task that's in there, I'm going to go into Asana and I'm actually going to do what's called a search step. So here I go here and I'm going to find a task. I can do a project if I wanted to. In this situation, I'm going to do a task by ID. And so you would send that information over to a Design Pickle so you have the same ID. then you would find that task. And then the last step here would be an update for Asana. And I'm going to go in a little deeper here in a minute and show you some of this, but I'm trying to give you an overview here so you can see what's going on. So here's the completed request. I find that the task that's associated with that request, and then I go here and I can literally just update the task. And away I go. I have exactly what I need to get in where I need to go and figure out everything that's going on with updating that task. So I can update and say, hey, the request is in fact complete. So instead of you having to copy and paste between Asana and Design Pickle, I just showed you how to go through and create two workflows, one that pushes things in there and one that pushes things out of there. And you have a two-way sync or a two-way flow between the two different systems. So really, really powerful in terms of what that means and where it goes for you, because you're able to pick apart the things that are not working and make the things that do work in the right way. Okay. So that's some of the power there. Let me show you a little bit more of what happens when I use this tool over here, which is the Push by Zapier. So I go into my folder here. I hit the create button here, and this is where I can start to pull things from my Chrome extension browser and kind of push them back into the other side of things. So this, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to open up this Chrome extension, and I can say new push. And a new push is basically a a list over here where I can create a subject, details, and a file type, and even a size, and then I can push that into Design Pickle. So I go here to Design Pickle. Oh, gotta finish writing it. So I go here to Design Pickle and I can create a request. So here, when I have an idea, let's say that I'm looking through I'm looking through a blog post on a competitor's site, and I was like, oh my gosh, that needs to be, I need to take that content, make it my own, and publish something around that, because that's an idea and I'm going to use my own experience to make sure I'm not just copycatting someone, right? But I'm going to go in and pick that apart. You just go to that page, wherever it is, hit this Chrome extension button, type in the information here, hit send, and that's going to automatically create that design request with the URL of the page where you were looking to go. So really, really powerful in terms of what it's capable of, in terms of pushing that data back and forth between something like Design Pickle and those other pieces. So I'm going to open it up for question and answer here, and I am going to show a few more examples here in a second. I see one question here from Brianna, and I'm going to read it out loud. I'm the marketing coordinator at a barbecue company. What I'm hoping to automate is our social media process. If I'm understanding correctly, I should be able to use this system, meaning Zapier, for the purposes of automating some of that social media output. Like when I mark a design is complete on Design Pickle, it can be sent to a calendar of some sort. So anybody accessing that calendar would be able to see what needs to be posted on a specific day. Along with that would be the question is this the service you recommend for social media planning? That is a fantastic question, Brianna. Yes, I would definitely use Zapier in my initial look at some of this. There are some other tools out there, Hootsuite and others, that you could use to schedule posts and even keep track of some analytics if you wanted to get a little more advanced. And that's totally possible. From the standpoint of how I would build this in Zapier, the way I would do it is I would set up that Zap that listens for the completed request. And one thing that you're going to want to do there is you can push those completed requests over to the calendar, but then you've got to notify yourself to go into that spreadsheet or into that calendar and tell it where to go. Unless you change the title of the item and you actually put like a date on there, then you could strip apart that date, pick apart that date, and say when it was actually supposed to be posted, right? Because you probably, when you're sending things into Design Pickle, you probably don't want everything posted just as soon as it's done. Maybe you do. Maybe you do want to do that. And in that case, you would just listen for every single completed request and kind of figure it out from that standpoint, if that makes sense. So it's something that that's totally possible through through here, and you could set that up. You could set it up so it actually goes to a you could set it up so that it goes to Google Calendar and then has a link back to Design Pickle. There's 100 different ways that you could handle that piece of it. So I have answered that one. Other questions that the individuals might have? Awesome. Well, I am super excited to be here with you. Um, let me show you a few more things inside Zapier that I would recommend looking into as you're looking at these different pieces of what's here, and we can kind of dig into that a little more so that you can see what this looks like. Um, this is just kind of the homepage inside Zapier. Shows you where, you can see I've got the drafts that I've got going here, to kind of push out all of the information. The sky's the limit here. One thing, we looked at Asana. If I go into a blank Zap here, I can actually go in and choose any tool that I want. So let's say that I was using Trello. Okay. And I wanted to, every time there's a new card in Trello, I wanted to push that around to the appropriate place to make all of this go. Well, if I go into Trello, I can pull out a new list, a new card, a new member on a card. You can see they've got card updated, all sorts of different connections here. And then I can literally pick that up and put it right into Design Pickle as a connection. So you can see I've got, an opportunity to create a request, find a request, go all the way through that process. So the point I'm trying to make here is that this search right here, and you can see that it's actually upwards of 3,800 apps now that are connected already to Zapier. So learning how to use Zapier really helps you get in there and get solid around some of the pieces for what's going on to connect those dots. I know a lot of people are using spreadsheets. Let me show you a little bit more information about spreadsheets when you're tracking design or that content calendar. The spreadsheet functionality that's available in here is unreal. They give you the ability to literally listen for a new row, a new updated row, and you can push all of that information back and forth between Design Pickle and your platform. So really, really powerful from that standpoint. All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. Unless we've got other questions that are coming in. Oh, I've got another one. So, Sarah asked, I tried the Zapier and Design Pickle automation years ago when they first started. I do banner and designs for our contests. We do about 45 contests a month, and I spent lots of time copying and pasting from a Google sheet after the author or VA adds the contest information, but it didn't work. So that's a great question. We're gonna walk you through how that would work, so that maybe we can figure out where some of that fell off the cart. I highly recommend reaching out to Zapier support if you ever do run into issues. These guys are unreal. I mean, this get help button here that lets you get in here. They are really fast, and they're probably one of the nicest teams I've ever worked with when it comes to working with a team that know and like, so to speak, and the power behind some of what's there. So let me show you. We're going to get into your questions specifically and dig in here on that. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so specifically, you were looking to take the banners for your design contest, and you've got a Google spreadsheet that's going in there. So let's, just for the sake of getting some nitty gritty here for everybody to kind of see what this looks like, I'm going to create a simple sample spreadsheet and just show you how it would work live so that you can connect those dots. So let's call this contests. And we're going to put, the name of the contest. We're going to put the contest verbiage, and we're going to put the date that we want it to post on the social media channel. And there's probably going to be some other required fields, but I'm just going to throw these in here. Let's say that it's a giveaway of some kind, and they need to comment below in order to be considered. Okay. And then the date that I want this to post, let's say that I wanted it to post tomorrow. So we're going to go 7/10/21. Okay. So now I've got some sample data. It's very important when you're doing a test of any kind like this inside Zapier that you have that sample data. Well, now I'm going to go over here and I want to take that data out of the Google spreadsheet and put it into the social media stuff, right? So I'm going to go in here into Sheets, and I am going to search for a new updated row inside a spreadsheet. Now, it's important that you recognize that one is new row and one is new updated. If I do updated, anytime this gets updated, it's going to send it again through it. So you could even go like this. I could say send to Facebook. And then here I would insert a checkbox. And when I check this, this basically just changes that value from true to false. Okay. So here, when I get in here, I'm going to go new spreadsheet row, and I can listen for that specific spreadsheet. Now, in this situation, I've actually authenticated here. So I'm going to pause my share for just a second. I'm going to share. I'm going to grab the right one here. Okay, so what I did is I went in and I selected this one. Now, if I want to, I can connect anything I want to Zapier, and it just is a simple login, right? Once I've got it connected here, I'm going to choose my spreadsheet. So 1 second while I choose the spreadsheet. So you can see that if I type in contest right here, it opens it up and it says, cool, where's my contest? Now I choose my sheet, and here's sheet 1. Now it's going to get sample data. This is important. If you don't have the sample data, so you can see it gives me giveaway, comment below in order to be considered, and false for column D. So I have the sample data. Now I'm going to go push that information into Design Pickle. So I go to Design Pickle. I choose my account. Oh, well, first I'm going to create a request, right? So I go here and I choose the account. So here's my Design Pickle account that's connected. And it's asking for a Zapier item ID. The reason it's telling you to put a Google spreadsheet row is because you need something that's unique. So if I go in here, I can see that I have a row ID of 2. Okay, perfect. So I got my row ID there. And now I'm going to pull in my my piece here. The name of it is going to be the subject. The details are going to be right here. And maybe you would put more in there. One thing that we noticed this last time is that size is required. So I'm going to jump back over here. I'm going to insert one to the left here. And this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the places where a lot of people get stuck. So let's say that I do a size right here. And I can make this size a drop down if I want. So data validation right here. I'm going to show you how to make a quick drop down. This is really cool. So like, let's say that you're doing a 300 by 300 pixel. And then I also want to do a 100 by 100 pixel. And let's say that it was commonly multiple times things that are in there. If I go in here and hit save, this turns this into one of those twos. And now I've got a cool drop-down menu that I can use. Well, if I come back here, if I don't go back here and retest this test trigger, the whole thing's going to break. It's just not going to function for you. So I have to open this up and I have to hit load more, and it's going to bring in what looks like row B. Well, it wasn't row B. It just gave me my new pixel thing. I can't, the Zap will not work unless you go get that new data. Okay. So now I'm going to go here and create the request. And you can see I can pull in the size now. Before I couldn't have pulled in the size because I didn't have it. And then, oh, wow, do I want to boo? Maybe I'm okay with this always being JPEGs, or I always want a JPEG and a PDF. I can make it so that that's static and just lives inside here. Okay. What type of audience is targeting this design? If you were like, oh, I do want to tell them what type of audience, all you do, come back here and type in audience. Now, obviously, in this situation, my formatting is incorrect because it just copied over my other data validation. So I'm going to remove the validation and I'm going to say moms, right? So if I'm targeting moms, again, remember, if you're gonna add in a field, you got to go retest here. We load in a second one, and here's row C, and you can see that it now has column D as moms. And now I come through here and I just got to make sure that the things that I've already mapped are still working. Look, the size is broken now because it's pulling in column D. So I pull in and I, instead of size there, I don't want to put date posted. I want to put the size. So these are putting in little placeholders that help us kind of get where we want to go. So let's grab this target now and we put in moms, and you can see I can put links, the things you're not looking for, like all of this could be put out there. And you can put in a static value of how urgent it is, or look at everything that's there. Once I get all of that done, we literally just go like this and we hit test and review. And I believe I have one of my employees on the call. Go ahead and let Design Pickle know that we don't actually want that one created, because that actually did get sent in there just now, totally live. So you can see it was sent to them. It's totally in there. And I could go and show you that that has been in fact pushed through, and it gave us that green check mark. After I'm done with that, I turn this puppy on, and you can see that now every single time I go on, and I can share this if I want to somewhere else, I can go all over this. Now, every single time I go in and update this, it's going to send in a new thing. Now, there's a dangerous part here. Every time I check and uncheck this checkbox, it would go through and do everything that was going on and just send that over and over again. Okay, we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to actually say, oh, hold on. Go back. I don't want every single thing to go through here. I only want it to go through when this box is checked as true. So instead of send to Facebook, this would probably be send to Design Pickle. And then you would probably have something that right here that said like received from Design Pickle. And then you could even do a last one here that says send to Facebook. And so you can see that, I mean, it's pretty simple to set them up. I wanted to show you this concept. This is called a filter step. And with the filter step, I can say, I only want it when send to Facebook equals true. And that means that if I use this checkbox right here, check, 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 it's going to only go through and push that through when it actually was, through. So that's how you would push that so that's how you would get it into Design Pickle. To get it out of Design Pickle, you would go the other direction. And you can literally just say, when it's completed, push it back into this spreadsheet, mark it as received, and then do another listener that says, when it's received, go ahead and push it through. So you can see that although the system may seem complex, once you learn the basic building blocks of how things work in here, it gets really, really exciting. So that's an idea of where that goes. It does work with Office 365 to answer the last part of that question. So if you go to zapier.com/apps, you can just quickly check right here. We can go Office and this, yeah, Office 365. We go down to the page here and we can see what's actually been created. So they've got a bunch of triggers that are based around contacts and calendars and emails. They've got some actions and then some searches. If there was something more specific like Excel or one of these others, you can simply just do that. Pull it up right here, search for the app, and you'll find it in there. Okay. Alan, I white label a new social media content calendar scheduler. They just started with Zapier as well. Canvas can be used within it to create content. I'm wondering if there's a way I can receive designs from Design Pickle using Zapier to the social media content scheduler. The answer to that question is probably, and the way that you would need to check is to see whether or not they're actually in here. So what you would do is you would type in that new social media content calendar scheduler. Feel free to put that in the chat. But you would search for it right here, and then you could simply receive the Design Pickle designs from there and put them in there. So what that would look like is you would come in here and you would open up and get the Design Pickle piece. And then you would go here and we would go completed request. And remember, you got to get that sample data. So as we get in here, we pull in the sample data. I'm actually going to show you what the sample data looks like. So I test the trigger and it spits out and shows you here's the sales flyer that we've put in. And you can kind of see where it all goes through there. It shows me my designer's name. And then I can push that data into whatever target system you want in terms of where it goes. And the way you would test to see whether or not it's got an option for that is you would go here and type in the new version. So Hootsuite is an example of one that does some scheduling like that. So you could schedule a message to whichever social media profile. And let's say that you wanted it to always delay a couple of days. This is really cool. You can actually do a delay step here where you can go in and say, okay, I want you to delay for, and we're going to do, like 5 hours. So let's say that you're like, every time I want this to go, when there's a completed request, wait for 5 hours, then post it on social media. Totally possible to do a delay step, which is pretty exciting. Let's see here. What are your rates? Oh, to create zaps. Great question. So when we create zaps, we charge generally by the hour. It's around $200 an hour, and to create one zap, it's 15 to 20 minutes. The more complex it gets, the more crazy it gets, and we bill in 15-minute increments. So happy to help that way. Anybody on this call is welcome to reach out. We can do some systems design. Just mention that you heard about us on the webinar. Happy to help that way. What's the best way? So we're going to take a couple more questions here. What is the best way to set up a Zap if you don't know exactly what's going to be in your payload? So what example, you want your delivered files, and a payload, for everybody who's may not be familiar with that word, payload is generally just the object or the sample data. So when I ran this right here and I got the test data, that's a payload. That's what's coming through right there. So for example, you want your delivered files from Design Pickle to be delivered to a folder in Google Drive. However, the amount of the files in the payload change with every delivery. So in that situation, what I would do is I would probably use the looping functionality that's inside Zapier. So I would go here to my Google Drive, and I'm going to create or upload. We're going to do upload a file right here. So upload a file is where that would go. And then they actually just released a new feature. Let's see if it comes up. Yeah. So looping, I'm pretty excited about this. The guy who actually spearheaded this used to work for Data Automation and then went to go work for Zapier. So I'm super excited that it's here. But you can see that I can loop through different individuals to see what's there or different things. So create a loop from line items. In this situation, let's just look here. This may work out of the box. It may need some extra help. It looks like the file links are in what we call an array. And you can see that it's kind of broken those up. We're going to just do the line items here and see if it works right off the bat, just to kind of show you where it's going. So this is a custom loop iterator, and we're going to call these files. And then we're going to look here and see how it says uploaded files, and it's got a comma separated list. So this should work to do multiple pieces here. I'm just going to hit test and review here, and this should spit out and say, yeah, it's going to work. So this looks like it's going to take each one of these files and push them right into your Google Drive. So that the answer to your question is absolutely, and I would use the looping feature inside Zapier to do that. All right, answering Sarah's question now, then we'll wrap it up. I think we've nailed it on our webinar this time. Right now, I use Zapier and Design Pickle to send Slack notices when I'm done. It's very helpful. And you'd miss the checkbox thing. So absolutely, yeah, Zapier is a really powerful tool for picking up those completed requests and pushing them in there. Yeah, that checkbox piece for this part can make a big difference. And just make sure that you're using that filter step to stop it so it doesn't go a second time. But I love creating spreadsheets for myself where I can trigger stuff like this to move off, and then move that where it needs to go. So that wraps it for our webinar today. In conclusion, you know how to identify what to automate and what not to automate. You know how to automate. You now know what Zapier is, how it works. You know how to use Zap's building templates. And I even went a step farther, went and I showed you guys some of the other pieces of what's inside there in terms of picking apart everything that's there. So really appreciate everybody's time today, and excited that we got to do the webinar a second time and share it with more people.
Thank you so much, Will. I hope everybody enjoyed that. I know I learned a lot of new things. And of course, if you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out to Will and his team about any Zapier and automation wizardry. And don't hesitate to reach out to us at help@designpickle.com for any graphic design needs.
Yeah, we're over at dataautomation.com. You can find us on LinkedIn. If you want to see a cool automation, fill out the forms on our website. We actually have automated bots that reply to you and forms that you can fill out to get to the right salesperson and stuff. It's pretty cool stuff.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you again for your time, Will. This has been great.
Yep. Glad to be here.
All right. Bye, everybody.